This is Legend Bowl, and this is a game that I'm making for the PC on Game Maker Studio 2, and I haven't shown a video since October of the actual game. So this video is going to cover basically where I'm at with the game. I've done a lot since October, and I want to share that with you guys. So sit back, relax. This is going to be something that it's going to take some time to go through, so it will be a long video, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So what you're seeing here is a splash screen. Obviously before I didn't have any kind of splash screen, and I wanted to create something that I could show as a demo. So this is what I built. As you can kind of see, I'm going to go into the menu, but I want to go back to the splash screen just to show it again. This is just something that I built so that the game feels like, you know, an actual splash screen here, right? So nothing fancy, but I probably won't keep it. But one thing I do want to make a note of here is the logo. I really like this logo, and the artist that I'm working with, or is working with me or whatever, he's really talented, and I'm really happy with his work. And at first we were looking at a logo that was facing south, right? So like your typical logos where the player's face is facing you. And it really didn't look that great because it wasn't showing the ball or the helmet or the sport very well. And I wanted to make sure that we were depicting that in the logo. So we kind of went back and forth, and then we landed on this one because you can actually see the ball and the helmet a lot more clearly than you would if we were doing the straight south pose. So with that said, that's one thing to note here, and I like it. Looks good. So let's go ahead and get into the menu here. This is the main menu, and like I said, this is all placeholder for now, but I think it actually looks pretty clean, pretty good. I went ahead and changed the font to a different font that I think makes the game look, makes the text more readable. And before I was using a very pixelated font, so this looks better, I think. So what we're going to go through today are a few options here. Obviously the game will at some point have an RPG element to it. So this is going to be where you would go into the RPG story. Doesn't really work right now. I mean, you can type in here, but it's not going to do anything when you hit play game. It actually takes you to the same place it takes you when you play football. Load story is also empty, and then options takes you to an options screen that I haven't even built yet. So with that said, I want to go through these two menus here. So play football and training camp. Now, training camp is where we're going to start. Training camp is where we have a brand new room that I created that will allow you to basically isolate your players so that you can focus on and tune certain mechanics. So I really want to get like the passing, the catching, the defense, the offensive lineman and defensive lineman interactions, the tackling, all those things. I want to make sure that they're tweaked and tuned finely, and this is going to be a way for me to do that, because when you're in the game, you just have so much going on. There's so much confusion, and it's chaos. So you really can't see everything. And you know, if you want to keep repeating a throw, you have to wait till you pick the play and then go in. But I've done a lot since I showed you guys last time. There's been a lot here, so I'm going to cover a lot. I was going to break it up into parts, but I'd rather just show you all in one shot and get back to work so I can keep moving on this game. So yeah. So before I go into this though, let me just backtrack a second. So in my last videos, I was showing you the throwing, and the throwing is where we kind of took a little bit of a detour because it took some time to do, because I didn't just want to do your typical throwing where it's just there's no physics involved, there's no real mathematics involved. It was a very basic thing where you have distance and you have an angle. So you have a starting distance and an ending point that that the ball will travel to, and you have an angle, and all we wanted to do was just make it follow that track, which is not the best way to do it, especially when you have a moving target, right? So when you have a player that's running, let's say at 5 speed, you want to make sure that you can hit him in stride, and that's something that we had to work on to really refine. And if you're throwing a lofted pass, it's going to make a difference, right? So that's the major change that's one of the major changes in the throwing that I want to show you guys, and let's go to that now. So this is the throwing simulator. All right. So what's cool about it is you can actually see, this is the, let me get the cursor out of the way here. This is the quarterback, and you have the ability to just kind of show where he would throw based on different angles and different distances. Okay. So what I'm doing right now is moving around with the right stick, and with the right stick you can actually see the way the ball's going to travel. So it'll show you in debug mode, which is where we're at right now. Kind of, this is a simulator, so you can see where you're going to throw the ball. So if I throw the ball, you know, it'll show you the ball traveling through the air, and the number on the bottom there is just the distance, so I can kind of keep track of how high this ball is being thrown. So what's cool about it with this new version is that, number one, you have the ability, like I said, to go super high, super low. I have it locked down to 1 angle and all the way up to 89 angle. So you can't go any higher or any lower than those 2 values the way it's set right now. But what I'll probably tweak that, because you can't throw a missile like that. That's just not, it's just not right. And if I want to zoom this out a little bit, let's zoom this out a little bit and see that again, because let's see what it looks like when you throw a missile. And I'll shorten it a little bit so it's not so far. And then I want to see the actual bounce of a very low 1 angle pass. You see? It just doesn't look right when you get close up to it. It just doesn't look right. And let's get back to the normal zoom here, and then show you close up. So yeah, so you can do, like I said, you can do bullets, you can raise it high in the air, and this is going to help me at least see if the ball's bouncing correctly, because it's another thing too. The bouncing is something that I had to configure and kind of tweak to make sure that it was bouncing correctly. You know, so that's the different bounces you get. And if you're doing a little dump pass, what's cool about this ball throw functionality is that no matter how, even if I'm passing, like doing a handoff to the running back, you could do that. You know, you could just say, okay, here you go, buddy. You know, or you're just lofting it. So it's very powerful, and there's a lot that you can actually accomplish with this passing. So if you got a guy over here and you just want to chuck it to him, you chuck it to him that way. Or you can do, if you want to do like a bomb and say, you know what, I'm going to throw this deep, 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 deep. I'm going to throw it all the way up in there. Now this is really slow because I literally launched it 5,000 whatever feet or whatever that value really resembles, right? So we wouldn't throw it that high. This is more of your typical, and even there is a little slow. But that's what would happen in real life if you were to throw it. This is all based on real physics here. So if we were to throw it, let me get the camera out a little bit more. If we were to throw it, you know, that's kind of what it would look like. I mean, this is all based off of true physics. And the speed is according to those physics, right? Like I said, if you want to launch a crazy high pass, which is a crazy bomb, this is basically what it would look like. So passing's coming around. I hope you guys like that. I think it looks good myself. So let's go ahead and head back to the the catching. So now the other drill that I was working on was catching, and on here I have two guys that are going to play some catcher. So if I want to throw it and see if I catch it in stride, I can do that. And this guy's just randomly going anywhere, so he's getting deeper and deeper and deeper. Sometimes he comes closer, sometimes he goes further. But I kind of, and then you take control of the guy, which right now, when you're controlling him, you can do a few moves. You can do the hurdle, right? You can dive, which there's no ball, but it's just a tackle move, and then he stands up, right? And then I have juke, which I don't have in the game yet, but it's going to be in there soon. I just didn't do it yet because of the work that it takes to. I don't know how I'm going to actually move the guy left to right when you juke. It's basically what it comes down to. So yeah, so that's me throwing to this dude, and what I'm trying to really practice here is, you know, depending on my angle and my throw, like, am I catching this dude in stride, you know, or is it actually going to be a realistic looking pass or not? And also, is he gonna catch it? The one thing that I'm kind of doing here also is the catcher, or the receiver, I should say. He's running his route, right? And I don't have route passing right now. It's like if his route is to run up and then left, if he's running up and I throw it, it'll calculate him as if he's going straight up, okay? But what I did for right now is I make it to where when the ball gets thrown, the receiver will actually start to move towards the ball and break his route. So right now he's running his route, and then when I throw it, he starts heading towards the ball, okay? And that's where he basically lands, right? Right. So, you know, he catches the ball in stride and he's moving and the ball goes. See, that time it fell, but it actually hit him. Actually hit him on the feet, so you can see that it actually he'll pick it up. But I mean, there's no animation for it, but if it hits him in any way, he'll grab it. One thing you'll notice on here as well is he'll put his hands up when the ball's in the air, so he's depicting a catcher, right? So yeah. Another thing I did that I didn't show you yet, which I'll go back to the other mode here, is when you're throwing, before he was always throwing like this. He was always standing straight up like this. And then when he always threw north, right? But now what happens is as you move, you start to angle. So you basically get west, northwest, north, northeast, and east, right? And he'll throw it in every direction. So I added that in, so there's different angles that you basically can throw the ball, right? But when you're moving around, you're always moving around in north. It's just where you end up relative to the ball. He'll move. If I'm more of an angle, he'll be this. But if I'm more at a west angle, if this is west of me, when I stop, that's where when I'm idle, that's where he'll move to. But when you're running around, you're running this way, right? And then when you let go, it'll change the position and the direction of the sprite based on its position to the target. So that's kind of nice. The only thing that's not perfect right now about this is that he's right-handed here. But when I go to the right, he turns left-handed. You see that? Because I'm just mirroring or that's the way the animations were given to me, I'm pretty sure. So I need to get the opposite effect going too. I need to get, when he's throwing to the left, he's still right-handed, not left-handed. So, and one thing also when you're a quarterback, which is what I'm doing in here, I'm also making sure that when you're a quarterback and you hit the right trigger, you turn into an actual guy with the ball. Now you're not seeing the ball here. I need to fix that, obviously, but you basically become a ball carrier, and you can do the same moves. You can dive, you can hurdle, just like you would if you were running as a receiver. Now when you let go, you turn right back into your quarterback, so you can run away and then you let go. And right now, one thing that's obviously not right is that you have he moves really fast with the strafing right now. He moves just as fast as he moves when he's running. So I'm going to change that, obviously, but this is the area that's going to help me hone that down, which is why I built it. So, and I'll probably end up making this like some kind of trainer for the game, and put some challenges in here. So where you can try to work on your skills and you can hit certain targets or whatever, That'd be kind of cool. So hope you guys, let me know what you think about this, because I think this is kind of neat. All right, so the last thing I want to show you is the football game. So it's been a while since we've shown any gameplay. I really haven't shown any gameplay. I've been showing just like pieces and parts. So here is the actual football on the field play, right? So this is what the game is going to look like. Right now we're in a coin toss. So if we go back a second, when you start the game off, which this is still all pre-alpha, demo type stuff here, the guys are moving. They're all in sync right now, because if I didn't do that, we have an issue where they're running into each other. So as they run down from the locker rooms, this is what they look like. They look like ants because they're all in the same exact width and pattern. I'm going to change that because we're working on the steering, which I'm going to show you in a bit. The steering in this version in this build is not perfect. We're using what they call steering behaviors, and steering behaviors I've shown pieces and parts of this before. There's a whole number of different algorithms and behaviors that you can build so that when you tell a player to go from point A to point B and he runs around obstacles or there's a wall in front of him, he needs to make sure that he navigates his way through. And there's a study that was done a long time ago from someone, I forget his name, and they came out with these things called steering behaviors. So we've built steering behaviors in the game, but the problem is that when you start, they're not perfect, number one. They're very simple. Simple is a relative term here, but they're not super complex. And with this many players in the field, which is another thing, building a sports game versus a 2D platformer is really night and day. I mean, the amount of variables just exponentially increase when you have this many people on the field that have to have certain behaviors. And they're actually interacting with each other, right? So all that stuff becomes very complicated. So I've asked the developer that I'm working with to really hone in, like he did with the passing, really get the movement to be as solid as possible, because we want the players to move and not get stuck. And I don't want to have to see this animation or these people over here running down in a pattern because I'm scared they're going to hit each other. And there are times, there's a bug, there's things right now that are happening, and I'll show you where the referees, because they're the line referees, they run right into each other, right? So, so we're working on steering behaviors, and hopefully that will bring a lot more. It will add more flavor to the game. It will give it a lot more options and scenarios that you can put these players into, and it will really complement the AI, because the AI right now is really basic. So let's just get to it. I want to show you the coin toss. So one thing you're going to notice here is the receivers. I'm sorry, not the receivers, the referees. I've added in 7 referees into the game, just like in real life. And this is the main referee here. They basically, they act very similar to the way they act in the real NFL and real pro sports or college or wherever. I mean, they act as they're supposed to. So they're going to have their own behaviors, and they're going to act, and call certain plays and throw flags and all that stuff. So it's kind of cool. But right now we're in the coin toss, and these guys are the captains. I think I've shown you this before in a previous video without the referees. But one thing that I'm doing here that I just want to make sure that is at least shared is that these guys are coming from a file that has all of their data, right? So like a roster file where it has all their attributes, it has their gear, it has what they're wearing, has their jersey, all that stuff, what team they're on, etc. So this is all loaded from a data file, and it's not just random players coming out. And these guys here are the captains. So the captains are going to come out to the coin toss and perform the coin toss. While I'm here, let's talk about the gear, right? So the goal for this game is to make sure that the gear is customizable and that you can have different gear for the players. And speaking of the gear, you can see the guys don't have any helmets. You're probably thinking, okay, it's a football game, there's no helmets, what's going on? Right now I don't have the helmets in the game, but I have added them in as just a initial task. They don't look that great because I'm not done. I want to layer them on. So if I show you the helmets now, these are the helmets that these guys are wearing. And I did just enough just to line them up so that when for this video, so you guys can actually see them on correctly. But they're basically a layer. So if I toggle them on and off, they go on. So what they are, they're really separated from the player. And for every animation the player has, the faces and the helmets and the gear and the uniform, I mean, everything about the player that is customizable will be layered on top. But in order to layer them on top, you have to know the right coordinates for every single animation, and that's going to take me some time to do, but that's the goal, okay? Right now we only have one body type, right? So this is one face, one body type. I have 2 faces in the game right now. The referees and the press guys have a different face than the main character, okay? Let me go back a second because speaking of the press, I didn't see the press a second ago. Maybe they just got mixed up somewhere. But the body types are just one, and the faces are basically just one here, right? So let's go into the debug camera that I have set here, and let's just see if we can find... Oh, okay. There they are. For some reason, they're bugging out. This build broke them for some reason. They should be walking around and actually filming, but for some reason they're sitting here doing that. So I'll have to fix that at some point. But they come out and they basically just kneel down and they record the game, and they're part of the the environment. So yeah, so let's keep going. So the UI has been updated, so now it looks a little bit cleaner with the new fonts and the new colors. And right now this is just a way for me to get through the kickoff. I haven't shown you this before. This is all brand new. So I'm going to go ahead and choose to kick off. And once you kick off, you're presented with, what kind of kickoff you want to do. So let's say I'm going to do a right kickoff and a center kickoff. The referee picks up the ball. He goes, drops it off at the line of scrimmage, and then the players come out to the field. And I'll just let it play. So right now I want the game, I don't want to just like other old games like Tecmo Bowl. They just basically fade in and fade out, and they do like cutscenes to get you from one play to the next. And what I want to really do with this game is make it look as real life as possible and move the characters around accordingly. So there's the kick, right? And he didn't catch it there. So we're going to do it again, but the referee will go over, grab the ball, and then bring it back. And based on where the ball lands, now that's out of bounds, but based on where it lands, he's going to place it down. Now, speaking of out of bounds, I don't have the out of bounds, working yet. But I do have it to where if the ball lands outside of the hash marks, he will place it on the appropriate hash mark. If it lands in between the hash marks, then he'll place it in the right spot. So that's working. I also have the first down. So the blue line up there, it's hard to see, but I have that set for 10 yards, basically on top, above the line of scrimmage. Okay, so that's kind of working as well. This is a debug camera, by the way, if I didn't mention it. This is what's helping me to see what's going on in the game. So let's just go ahead and pick a couple of plays here. I've shown you this before, but right now, the players didn't come out with the right positions. Now they are. Now you're going to get the exact positions that you should see in the game. So the real quarterback is going to come out, and then your receivers and your tight end and everything. So these are the exact players that belong to that play. And let's take a look at the referees, right? So you have two down here. You have the main one. I think this is the back judge. And then you have the two line. See, one of these guys, this is a problem. One of these guys should be on the line of scrimmage and one should be on the first down. And the reason why they're not is because they ran into each other. So they're supposed to be moving. See this P right here that you see down here? That's the other guy's. That's this guy. You can see that the line, the yellow line there. That's one of this guy's marker that he's supposed to run to, but he's not running there because he's blocked. And so the steering behavior does not allow these guys to run around each other. So when you're on a deadlock X coordinate and you're going straight up and the other guy's coming straight down, you hit each other and they just stop. Okay, but that's a good example of why we're working on the steering behavior. So you have the two guys there, you have the back, the side, I don't know the name, I can't remember right now, but the field judge back here, and then you have the other line and first down guys over here. But if you look, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 referees, right? Actually, while I'm here, you can actually see the press guy. I'll leave it here so you can see him move around. He's going to be taking pictures. And like I said, for some reason, they wouldn't come out during the coin toss, but you can see him here. So he gets up, he's going to walk around, and he's going to kneel down again. He's going to face the field and record. So I want this game to have as much realism as possible, which is what I was trying to say a minute ago, where I don't want just cutscenes everywhere. I want the game to feel like a real game, and you don't just turn black and then all of a sudden see people appear at the line of scrimmage. I mean, Madden does that. Madden actually does that. So the good thing about that, which is what I have to think about, the good thing about that is that you don't have to worry about taking too much time. Like, people watching this, they're probably going to want to cut right through it. But since I'm working on the game, I like seeing it. I want to make sure the guys move correctly. I like all this stuff because I want to make sure it's real. Like, if you're sitting there watching a game, I'm all about simulation. So I'm trying to put as much of it as possible into this game. And, it just might slow down people a little bit. So maybe like if you push the A button, you can skip through this stuff. But I do want to really make it real. I don't want to just cut and warp people, There may be an issue, speaking of that, when I do like an interception or a turnover. I have to figure out how that's going to work, but I'll probably just like rotate the screen around or redraw the field. So that's the kickoff return. So he caught it that time, And what I have happening right now is the kick return team is assigned, and let's do that again so you can kind of see. The kick return team, the players who are not catching the ball, right? So the players in the kick return team, they're assigned a kick-off person, right? So they pick a guy. So if I put the debug on, so you guys can actually see, and while I have this, I'll show you. There's the behavior on top, and there's the state of the player on the bottom. Right, so you can see that the behavior is he's standing up, he's normal, he's running is a state. Now he's placing the ball, he's standing up, and he's going. These guys are going to the huddle, they're running. So that just shows you shows the velocity. It shows like their animation component, which is what sprite we're drawing for the animation. So it's kind of neat. But one thing I want to show you is, once we get to it, is the kick return, and I want you to see the defenders. The defenders are basically running just like in real life. They're running a certain pattern to get to the kick returner, okay? But the defenders are trying to pick. So if you see, they're picking a defender, and I'm going to see. Let's see if we can actually get to this. Uh-oh, something happened there. But what I was going to try to show you there is basically I put the camera on and I screwed everything up. But basically the kick return guys pick a defender, and I don't know what's happening here. Something happened. I lost the referee. He's probably stuck back there. Let's just do it again. You see, and that's the steering model again. Just another reason he's probably stuck hitting the other referee. And sorry for all the replays, guys. This is all just demo stuff here that I want to show you, and there's a lot to show. So let's put the helmets back on. So the guy in the top right, top left, they have a visor. You can see that. Some players will have a visor, some won't, which is kind of cool. So if I want to follow this guy with the visor, you can actually see him better. With the visor on, and then he'll turn to the right. That's kind of cool. Another thing too is when the players come out, you can kind of see it from a high view here, which is nice. You can see that the formations are set up correctly, right? So this is the kick return formation, and then it's going to show you the kickoff formation here. And I basically just have the guy running, and then he'll kick, and then he didn't catch it. But see, the helmets are all warped over here because they're not set right, like I told you. So let me just take them off. But actually, I'll keep them on because I want to see what I'm planning on doing for the game is either having the helmets show or not show. Like I want it to be an option, so you can actually turn them on or off. So if you don't want them, you can take them off. You want them, you can turn them on. And I'm planning on adding new faces. So obviously we're going to have like 100 different faces or more at some point. Hopefully we can have that many, maybe 50 or 40 at least. But different faces, different skin colors. So there's going to be a lot of variety in player likeness in this. And like I said, body types too, right? So this is what they look like with their helmets on. So I'm going to actually show you a play. Take their helmets off. I'm going to show you a play. If I hit B, I have my voice there recording. So it's kind of randomly saying hut or hike, but you know, I'm going to do something about that. So what's happening here, what's going to happen here is the players, when I hit hike, so you're going to see some gameplay here, the receivers are going to go out for a random pattern, okay? And then the offensive linemen are going to pick a defensive lineman to block. And right now I don't have a blocking animation, so they're just going to run around the other guy. The defense, they're not going to block, but they are going to run after their assigned offensive players. So I'm going to hit hike. Actually, no, the defense is just sitting still. I took that out. So you can see the way that they're let me zoom in here. The way that they're running around, this whole thing that they're doing, this dance that they're doing here, this is all because the defense does not do anything right now. They're not going to block at this point. They're not even going to chase the receivers at this point. But when a ball carrier gets the ball that's not the quarterback, then you will see them chase the ball. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it. It throws it to a random person, and now they're going to chase him. Okay? So there you go. You see the guy stuck on the left. The referees, they're stuck. So yeah, so the referee drops the ball, but I'm very OCD. He didn't drop it the right way. He's kind of misaligned. I just changed something, so I got to fix that. But I just want to show you guys the gameplay. I really want to share how much I've done, where we are, how much we've done. I have contracted out some an artist and a developer, like I've mentioned, and they're helping out with this game a lot. So, it's kind of nice to have professionals who know what they're doing kind of help out with this stuff. So, when you get hit, the ball just drops right there at the line of scrimmage. I want to make it to where it actually drops where the player lands. But as you can see, the animations are the same. A tackle is the same as a dive. And when you get tackled, you basically dive in the opposite direction that you got tackled. But this is pretty cool because I actually have gameplay, and if I zoom out, you can actually see those buttons on the top of the players, by the way, the receivers, they just change randomly, as you can see. See, they'll change. So I just wanted to get them in there as a placeholder, but this is going to show you the route. Just like in real football games, you pull back on the stick and you're going to see the route. Okay. Don't mind the press guy. He has no boundaries at this point, so he's just going to go wherever he wants. But I do want to show you now that this is where the referees are supposed to be. So you can see that there's one over here on the line of scrimmage, and then there's one up here further back. And that's pretty much where they're supposed to be, based on what I've researched. And then you got the guy in the back, and then the two back here. So, kind of cool stuff. But what I was saying was that this is gameplay. I mean, I actually have gameplay. And, how many people out there make games that, don't ever get to even this stage because it's so hard to make a game. And this is hard. And I said it's hard. And I'm going to continue to say it's hard, but it's not a complaint. It's just a reality of how long this stuff takes to do. When I hit the right stick or the right trigger, I'm zoomed into the running mode like I told you guys. That's kind of cool the way he's sitting there like that, but I'm going to bump him off. One thing I'm also going to show you too is that if I bump, you see this guy just took off to where he's supposed to go. You see that? And he's going to continue to move as I move. You see, they follow the ball. That's a bug. He should be on the line, so I have to fix that. But they basically move where you move, where the ball moves, right? But what I wanted to show there is that everything is collision based. I can hit that guy and send him, I can hit these guys. Everybody has physics and they're all colliding, which may be why I have some frame rate issues. But yeah, and if I zoom out, don't mind that. But if you can't really see it because they're too. I just threw the rain on. I don't know what just happened there. I just threw the ball somewhere crazy. Oh, so he caught it. I threw the ball to somebody. So yeah, so now it's raining. I didn't mean to do that, but might as well just show it. And there's lightning. I've shown you this in a previous video. The frame rate's going to drop crazy, I think, because I'm drawing so much to the screen. But I have gameplay. That's the point. The point is that there's actual gameplay going on here. Let's get back to the normal lighting here, and turn the rain off. But there's actual gameplay. There are guys that are running out for passes, and the frame rates are dropping. And obviously I have to work on that, but you don't really worry about optimization until later on. But if I keep playing, I think I made it a little bit too bright. If I keep playing, you're going to see that, it'll continue to keep going. And I'm working on the first down, tracking a first down and second down, third down, how many yards to go. You can see here that that's part of it that's happening here. The first down is the yellow line or the blue line, and the line of scrimmage is the yellow line. So I'm like inches away from getting a first down. So when I pass it, I'm basically going to get a first down there. Now something happened. There's a bug there where I threw it to this dude, but he didn't catch it. So now everybody's like, what do I do now? And if I go to debug mode, it's like he's waiting for the catch, but he never caught it. So now it just goes into some crazy suspense. So yeah, so that's the game. I mean, these guys, like I said, these two guys are loading, these two teams. You can see it's a different set of players right now. Different players and different jerseys. But they're all a copy of the same team. So the guy with the visor, they're going to be the same guys again, because I just take the same players and I multiply them across the teams, right? So like I made a 52-man roster, let's say, and those same players are on the same teams, multiplied. But the jerseys are different, right? And the team names are different and everything else. So the game is coming along very nicely. So yeah. So let's do a couple more plays, share with you a little bit more gameplay here, and then I will probably cut the cut it there, and let's just do it with the helmets on. Even though they're bouncing around, don't let that deter things, because that will be fixed. The cool thing about the helmets is, like I said, they're not all one sprite. So I'm going to make it to where if you get hit big, guess what? Your helmet's getting thrown. And I can use the same ball throw logic to throw any object. Like that ball's being kicked and thrown based off of physical. Okay, where's my guy at? There he is. I'm going to get him. Oh, I missed him. So that was kind of cool. So obviously you don't know where your guys are. Like there's my guy there. I'm going to hit him. And then there you go. So the line of scrimmage has no clue where it is. So it's going to go in the end zone, which doesn't know it's a touchdown because I don't have the rules in place, which I'm planning on working on very shortly, along with what I mentioned about the first down and everything. So I'm going to throw the ball and just try to bring everything back so we can see more. But what was cool about that play, at least you can see that I'm trying to tackle. But I'm going to have to figure out how you can tell where everybody is. Now, I'm taking control of the offense, no matter whose team it is. So, oh yeah, and just to be clear, like I have different teams. This is the LA Lightning, I guess. I'm not sure what I'm going to call them, but this is one of the team's logos back here. And I can pick any of these formations. I put in a lot of the formations that you see in real football. You can come out and you can kneel. You can go into a wing T. These are the ones that I like from All Pro Football, 2K. Let's do goal line. So these guys should come out in the goal line stance and the whatever the one I picked for the wing T or whatever for the offense. So yeah, this is them all lined up. And we take their helmets off so they look normal. There you go. I'm going to try to throw it really quick. All right, I got out of there in time. But they're still getting me. So you see, there's AI. I mean, the defenders will chase you when you have the ball, and they will tackle you. And that looks pretty good. But I'm going to make it even better. So let's do some shotgun trips, nickel. So you guys can actually see the game is coming around, and I'm really happy with where it's at. There's still so much to do. The game's, I don't have any release date, but I am showing you gameplay. This game will be released, and I'm excited about it. I hope you guys are. And you know, I have a website now where all this information is being hosted. This video will be posted on there. Different dev logs will go on there. I'm not sure if this video is going to get sliced up or not, so you know, we'll see how I end up releasing it. But all this stuff is going to be loaded on my website, legendbowl.com, and I also want to show you guys, which I will at some point, the new steering model. There's a demo project that we're working on to really refine the steering, and I'm going to show you guys that next.